Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. Our next guest is the hilarious secret weapon of the HBO show, Barry. Anthony Carrigan plays Noho Hank, the Czech mobster who's more concerned with friendships than he often is with being a criminal. Let's take a look.
Oh, man. These guys are like a SEAL Team 6, huh? Maybe even like 7.5. Natural-born killers, huh?
For reals, though, how long until they become, like, actual army? You know, like 2,
3 hours?
I can't magically wave a wand and make these guys an army. Their skill set sucks.
Well, you know what Sonny and Cher would say. That's on you, babe. So come on, let's kick up the training a notch. What do you think? Oh.
Everyone, please welcome Anthony Carrigan. Let's hear it. Hey.
Hey.
Thanks so much for being here.
It's great to be here.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I truly believe you are the secret weapon of this show.
Thank you. That really means a lot, especially on a show like ours where everyone is so good and it's just top notch.
Everybody is so good, but everybody has to kind of play a very grounded character within this wild world. You get to kind of step in and be the wild card a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's a daily challenge to not turn into a cartoon character, you know.
But even if you don't, but even if you did, I still think it could work in moments because
it could work. Yeah, definitely. Well, that's what's really cool about the show is, I mean, it's kind of walking this fine line between, really kind of grounded drama, but also keeping it very funny. And yeah, there are these kind of weird and like wacky, colorful characters, but it's also Los Angeles, so that's kind of what you get while you're there. Just the weirdest people.
Right, everybody is just like a little brain warped because they're surrounded by pretend all the time.
Yeah, by pretend all the time, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Noho Hank is very specifically that. He is so trapped in his perception of who he thinks he is versus who he actually is and what he needs to be.
Yes, I think he misses a lot. He certainly misses a lot, Noho Hank. But he tries. Well, he tries so hard to kind of acclimate to like American society and want to be like a genuine Californian. I mean, hence his name, Noho, like North Hollywood Hank. He really wants to just be a part of it, and he kind of fails at it pretty miserably. But no, he really does mean well. He wants so badly to kind of create a crime syndicate that is, conscious and, and considerate.
Of him?
Well, no, of everyone around him. I think he's a total people pleaser, as a character. So it's a weird dichotomy,
Well, he's also fairly needy, though, and has, like, specific people in his life that he wants to love him.
Yeah, I think
because he's a criminal, he's willing to kill other people to make sure that those people love him the most.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think he really just wants to be friends with people, but he's in a tough industry for that.
He just happens to have hitmen at his disposal.
Right, exactly, which comes in handy,
When you did you audition for the role on Barry?
I did, yeah.
And how much did you know about the character when you went in and auditioned?
Well, when I got the script, I mean, the script was brilliant, and I was immediately drawn to it, and just thought, wow, this is a really, really cool project. And it's not often that you get that where everything is so well written, and you forget that you're reading something. You're actually just kind of watching it in your head as you read it, and a character really kind of jumped out to me because it was like, wow, okay, this is a really polite mobster. So I was like, okay, cool. There's some definite, directions that I can kind of take this in. So I had some ideas and wanted to make him kind of, silly and goofy and sweet, So, yeah, that audition process was really fun.
Was it multiple auditions?
No, thank goodness. Because that's always, like, terrifying. You go in one time and then, and it goes great. And then you're like, okay, cool, just have to do that again. And then, like, the second time you go in, it's like, uh-oh. They're not laughing as much. What do I do? But for the most part, I had to go in once, and it went really well. I went in for Sherry Thomas and Sharon Bialy. They're wonderful casting directors, and yeah, and I felt really good about it. And then Bill called me, and he was like, "Yeah, so you're gonna test, and here's everything that you did great. You were so funny and this part, and oh man, when you said that thing, and I like as he was saying it, I was like, oh God, oh no, like I'm gonna get totally in my head when I have to do it.
Like
again.
recreate.
Yeah, I'm gonna have
moments.
to recreate it for Bill Hader.
Yeah.
So no, thankfully though, they just kind of cast me off of tape, and it was and it was easy.
And did you have the accent and everything down already when you went in for the audition?
Did I have it down? I don't know. I mean, I certainly was trying. I think it was. It's a tough accent. It's a really tough accent, especially when you're kind of improvising and going off script too.
One of the things that I love about your character is that it happens sometimes on shows where the creators are flexible and are figuring things out and are open to ideas, is that they have an idea for you in the pilot, right? And you're there.
Right.
And then it was like a year between the pilot and shooting the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But it was so clear that they liked you so much and thought you were so funny that they just kept building on your character to the point where the second season starts and you're almost a co-lead with Bill Hader.
It's really
just
cool.
because they love watching you do what you do so much.
Yeah, it's really cool. And actually, Hank was supposed to die in the pilot. Yeah, he got shot, and he was absolutely just supposed to, be gone. Which I'm really thankful that was not the case.
Wait, forgive me for not remembering exactly how the pilot ended. When the pilot ended, did he come back when you guys started shooting? But after the pilot, he was supposed to be dead.
Oh yeah, after the pilot, he was supposed to be dead, and then the second episode, he comes back and he's like, "You really shouldn't have done that. That was not fun, but I'll forgive you."
So when did they tell you were going to be coming back?
They told. Okay, so it was at some point during the pilot, because it was pitched to me as like, look, this character is maybe gonna die, but we can there's some options in there. So I was like, okay, cool, I can work with that.
He comes back undead. He doesn't die. There's some options.
Listen, television's going some weird places these days.
So they told you during the pilot that you might come back.
Yeah, during the pilot.
And then you get the scripts for the second season, and you're a huge part of it.
Yeah, and then this season was really cool to see. I mean, I think a lot of people had reservations about it because the first season was really good just on its own, But I think everyone's really jaded nowadays about when something works. They don't want there to be kind of like this, industry of like milking everything until it just whatever essence that made it work in the first place is gone. But these guys are so brilliant. Bill Hader and Alec Berg, they're just like, they're so brilliant. They really do have a vision. So I trusted them completely. And this second season, they do not disappoint.
When you get the scripts from them, do you basically get it right away? There's no need for questions. Like everything is very clear for you as an actor. And
I immediately find it very clear. And what's cool too is that with Noho Hank, it's such a specific voice. So it was really neat to kind of see this season and just read it and be like, oh wow, yeah, it sounds like I'm saying this kind of stuff. That's great.
Well, he's so needy. And
he is needy. Yes.
In every moment of his life.
Right. Well, no, maybe not every moment, but yeah, but okay, maybe every moment.
Even when he's threatening Barry,
yes,
it is coming from a place of but I need you, and I want you to be my friend.
Yeah, well, I mean, isn't that the truth though? Of when someone is kind of angry or lashing out, or it's coming from a place of real pain and real kind of wounding. And I think, here's a situation in which Hank has been kind of, told by Barry that he's an idiot. And after Hank, made sure that his family would not kill Barry, so he did him a solid. He saved his life. And, and that's kind of how Barry, repays him. He's under a lot of pressure and a lot of responsibility. And so, yeah, it's, it doesn't feel very good when your friend tells you you're an idiot.
Is it true that prior to Barry, someone had told you, or you were feeling like you were kind of done acting, that you weren't going to be working?
Yeah. So I've had alopecia since I was 3 years old. It's an autoimmune thing. I don't like to call it a disease because I don't feel diseased by it. But it's hair loss. Your immune system is confused. It attacks the hair follicles, and I've had it since I was a little kid, but it was just always little spots, and at a certain point, it just, pretty much took all my hair. And it really threw me for a loop because when I started acting, I had hair and eyebrows and eyelashes. You can kind of see, and I like wore wigs and tried to like put paint on eyebrows, and it just wasn't working. And a lot of people told me, they're like, "I'm so sorry, but your career's done. Like you're never gonna work again."
That's fucked up.
Yeah, and you're not attractive anymore, and you know, I'm sorry, but you should probably think about doing something else. And
Where were you in your career at that point? Were you like just starting out, or had you been booking things and actually working?
I mean, no, like I had booked something, but it was like it had been like a year or something where I was just kind of pacing around my apartment, being like, what am I gonna do? Also, like my alopecia was just, it was the big insecurity for me. It was the thing that I didn't want to let anyone know about. I kept it so under wraps, and it would have meant like kind of like annihilation, like that level of like I can't let people find out. And so but what's really nuts is that my alopecia ended up being the thing that like actually is like making my career what it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's really cool.
Well, once you become not always, but your most authentic self.
Yeah.
That becomes, for lack of a better word, your selling point, because that's what differentiates you from everybody else.
Oh, absolutely. And also, I mean, just having come out from the other side of it, like if you can identify your insecurity and find a way to just become fully self-accepting and like forgive yourself for like whatever you feel like you're, lacking, and if you turn your perspective around, it's like life just gets so much better, and you realize like, wow, why was I carrying that around for so long? And then you can help other people kind of understand their own insecurities, and yeah, it's kind of just a huge weight off your shoulders.
Do you remember the moment where you accepted that? Was there a specific moment, or was it a gradual thing over the course of time?
It was more of a gradual thing over the course of time. I mean, it was like baby steps. Like first I was like, okay, first I'm not going to wear eyebrows. You know, that's going to be a big deal for me, is going out into public without eyebrows on. And that was, and it was real, like my heart was pounding. I remember like going to a restaurant, I was just like, I'll have the bisque, and like, and just being like terrified. But once I realized, I was like, oh, people don't really care. People don't really care that much. Yeah. People are so obsessed with their own self. You know what I mean? That they don't really have time to kind of focus on your insecurity. And if they are focused on your insecurity, it's because they haven't dealt with their own, and they're just projecting it. Projectile vomiting it onto you.
Like the classic bully technique.
Yeah, classic bully technique, exactly.
Yeah. And then you book, how long was it until you booked Barry?
Well, yeah, so I'd done a couple more shows. Well, once I made that decision, signed with New Reps, I was like, okay, cool, I'm feeling good. And also, I was just, I'd been waiting so long and been developing this kind of idea so much of like what I can do that, at that point, it was just like I was ready to be shot out of a cannon.
What do you mean developing this idea of what you can do?
Well, developing an idea of just like, wait, okay, cool. So I'm not the actor that I thought that I once was. But you know what? Here's what I am now, and here's what I think it could lend itself to. And I had no idea actually that it could like fit into a world like Barry, and it just goes to show that life surprises you sometimes, But yeah, but I was so ready to kind of just step in and succeed, especially when people tell you can't do something. Sometimes that's all you need to actually just do it.
And then you got on Gotham, right?
Yeah. Gone on Gotham. Gotham. I was on the Flash first, then Gotham. Playing a lot of villains, but bald guys are notoriously just like been cast as the villain. You know what I mean? It's
Jeff
just
Bezos, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. Real time. But no, and I don't know. I love it. I mean, the first role that I ever played was a villain. It was a pirate in Peter Pan.
Really?
Yep. Children's Cooperative Theater in Winchester, Massachusetts. I was a pirate. I had 14 lines. And
where's Winchester, Massachusetts?
It's just north of Boston.
Okay.
That's where I'm from.
I'm Western Mass.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're Western Mass. Nice. Go Sox.
Damn right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. It did take a while. It was a gradual kind of thing. But I felt more confident than ever because I wasn't hiding anything. it's a weird thing to be an actor and feel like you're not supposed to let people see something. You know, it creates this weird schism for being like, hey, I'm here and I'm being completely present with you, but also don't look over here. You know, creates it's not fun.
I'm absolutely willing to be vulnerable on camera for you, but only on my turn. only
Right,
on
but
these
yeah,
turns that I've set.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So like what must be so wonderful about Barry is that like once you started recognizing that maybe you're gonna get cast as villains more, bald guys get cast as villains, you get cast as this kind of villain who's also insecure and weird and needs friends and is such a developed oddball character around he's not even really a villain in a lot of ways.
That's true. In fact, in a lot of ways, he's kind of like the least, the least villainous person and kind of one of the most likable people, which is weird because he is like a Chechen mob boss who regularly kills people. So yeah, I think that's a great thing of what the show does. It kind of, it flips those ideas on its head. It makes you question who you're rooting for, and it just kind of leaves you in really kind of like predicaments where you're like, oh wow, I really should not be rooting for this person to do this, but he has to, and it's just cool. It's what makes for like a really dynamic show.
Everybody on the show, as I said, I think closer to the top of this interview, has to play their roles fairly dry, in a fairly dry way.
Yeah.
You are the one who gets to kind of show up, and I feel like you probably make people break.
Yeah, a lot of sauce. I bring a lot of sauce.
Do people break a lot around you on set?
Yeah.
Because you get the lines like, like the Sonny and Cher line that you just had
Yeah.
for realsies, I think
Totally.
you said.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all make each other break. I mean, I'm like acting opposite Bill Hader, so it's a constant challenge. But I get to have a lot of fun, and we're also changing things up on the fly. Sometimes too. I mean, the scripts are so good, so you want to stay on course. But working with those guys, Bill Hader and Alec Berg, they've got such talent when it comes to just thinking up things on the spot, and so you just start riffing, and it's hard. It's really hard to keep a straight face.
I think we have a tweet that we can pull up. That's a question from Twitter. The question is, you said you have your own backstory for Hank. Can you give us any details?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, backstories are a tough thing because you can't really flesh out too much. Oh, that's on you, babe. Nice. That's great. So I kind of had this one vivid picture of Hank, which is just like in Chechnya, in like a completely dilapidated basement with a VHS player and about like 10 tapes of like 80s action movies. And I think those were what kind of like what America represented to him, and how he kind of thought like, wow, when I get into crime, it will be exactly like this. So
it's so funny because I see it's your character, of course. I'm wrong when I say this, but you said the 10 VHS tapes, and immediately I thought that they were like episodes of Saved by the Bell or like all of these like light, fluffy pop culture depictions of America, but he has to be in a crime world because that's what he grew up in.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe he smuggled a few of those in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I can totally see that happening.
Like there's a part of him that just wants to hang out at the Max with his gang.
It's like, oh yeah, Zach Morris, great guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if I had hair, man, Zach Morris all the way.
Exactly.
Giant cell phone.
I think we have two questions from the audience. What do we got? Right here. Hey, sir.
Hi, I was just curious.
Hey.
I was going to ask about your look and the eyebrows, which already talked about that. So I wanted to ask you, what do you want for this character and his relationship with his syndicate and with Barry in the next year or two?
That's a great question. I think I would love. I mean, it's always a real kind of blessing for an actor to kind of be able to stretch a character out in different directions. So, this season is really a really wonderful kind of playground to go darker and to kind of experience like the sadness that I was talking about, like feeling wounded. But as far as the relationship goes, I feel like I would love to see Hank kind of get into a position of even more power and therefore make it even more difficult, because it's like, you ever lied on your resume? You know what I mean? And then you're there and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I know how to do that. Sure. So I feel like Hank he wants to be equipped for it, but it's hard. It's hard for him.
One more.
Do you? How you doing?
Hey, man.
Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Do you find yourself ever finding similarities between yourself and the character that you play? Extremely polite, listening to K-pop.
Yes. Unfortunately, yes, I do. You know, it's so funny because I always feel like Hank it's kind of like a mood lifter, you know? He's so happy-go-lucky and sees the world with just kind of this like sweet naivete and has such a sunny outlook on life. So it's hard not to kind of like be really kind of, you know, in a fantastic mood after that. But no, we both, let me see. Yeah, we both love kind of like 90s R&B, you know, like 80s kind of like super ramped up pop music. Huey Lewis and the News. Yeah, I don't have any tattoos yet, but you know, we'll see. I might get a commemorative one.
Of the shit commemorative of.
Ooh, yeah, who knows? Maybe one day.
Anthony, I love the show so much. I'm so glad it's back. You're my favorite part of it. It's on HBO on Sunday nights.
Yep.
Barry, Anthony Carrigan, everybody, let's hear it.